Hello YouTube, Ninja Midget here with the complete assembly of the Marlin Glenfield Model 60 .22 rifle. Okay, so let's go ahead and start on our trigger group here. First thing you want to do is put your safety in, making sure that the red stripe is on the left side of the trigger guard. And then we're going to go ahead and drop in our detent. And then we're going to drop in our spring. And this one can be a little tricky to get in there. So what I like to do is I'll use an 1/8 inch punch, compress that spring down a little bit, and then I'll use my small punch to see if I can capture that and get this in so that it's holding that spring captive. Then I can go ahead and get my pin, tap it in from the other side, and sometimes it just doesn't want to work with you, so maybe if you grab a little flathead screwdriver or something. Let me see. Usually you can stick something down in there and just get it down as much as you need. There it is. Alright, so perfect. Now go ahead and tap it in the rest of the way. It is knurled on one side, so you may have to get some good taps on it. But there you go. Your safety is functional now. Now what you want to do is you're going to slide your trigger in from the top, and you're going to take the thicker pin and you're going to go ahead and slide that in, and you want to make sure and capture your spring. Your spring goes in on this side, and you want to make sure that you get that down here so that it can the spring, the pin can capture that spring. This is what's going to give your trigger spring tension. It's a little tricky to get it to go in the way you want. There it is. Then after that you want to lift your trigger up in place, and you can look on the other side to make sure that you're lining up right. If you have your trigger all the way in the forward position, then it's not going to be putting spring tension on that on the trigger, so it'll go in easier for you. After you get that in, just tap it the rest of the way. There you go. Now you've got your spring tension. Now, this other smaller pin is just a limiter. It goes through this larger hole. Real easy to get in there just because that's a huge hole, and that limits the travel on the trigger, is all that does. And in she goes. And there we go. We've got our trigger. That is now functional. Our safety works just fine. And there we go. Alright, on to the next one. Let's go ahead and work on the bolt. Okay, now to get our bolt together, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the extractor, the left extractor. As you're looking at the bolt face like this, it's left from this point is your extractor that has the sharp edge on it. So what you want to do is you're going to go ahead and grab one of your springs. They're both the same, so it doesn't matter. You're going to drop your spring in there. Then you're going to place your extractor down, noting where that hole is as you're pushing it in. And now this one is the shorter pin that you want to go ahead and tap in here. And remember, it's got one knurled side on it, so let's see here. got that knurled side, so put it in without the knurled side going in there, so you can trying to work and talk at the same time, so you can tap it in easy enough. Does that have it captured? I believe it does. Alright, so yeah, tap it down so it's flush. Check for functionality. It's working great. Now your right side extractor is the one that's got not a sharp side on it. It's really just kind of holding it from the other side, holding the cartridge from the other side. And this one, you want to go ahead and make sure that the hole lines up. And it seems to line up pretty good. Same thing with this one. It's got a knurled side on it. So you want to try to get that, there we go, get that other side in first. And then you're going to go ahead and tap it on down flush. And there we go. Both extractors are in. Okay, now the firing pin. You're going to go in just like this. Get your pin started. This one again has knurling on one side. So you're going to start off from the side that doesn't have the knurling. Get it through there, and now something that's kind of tricky is getting this little roller on here. It doesn't want to just slide on there, it wants to walk around on you. So if you get a little tool that you can use, just kind of lift it up in place, get it kind of semi-captured on that pin, and then move it around into place, so that will eventually go through there. And there you go. Now you've got it captured. Tap it the rest of the way in, and there is your 100% assembled bolt, ready to go. Alright, now let's work on the fire group. Okay, so here's all our parts for our fire group. The first thing we want to go ahead and put on is our hammer. And we want to go ahead and make sure that goes in the right orientation so that this this side fits down in there as it should. Alright, remember there's one side that's a little bit different than the other, so you want to make sure that that side that has the clearance for the disconnector is the one that goes down as you're looking at it from this angle. Okay, now we're going to grab our sear pin, go ahead and drop that in place, and we are going to put our sear on. It goes up like this with that little hook pointed toward the back. And put that on, and then you're going to slide your spring on, and then you're going to slide it down the rest of the way. Alright, then what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and tension that around this post, and there's your sear in place. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put on our spring for our carrier, and we're going to put the carrier together with the feed throat, and it goes in this orientation right here. Then you're going to put this feed throat on just like this, and there you go. Now what we want to do now is we want to grab our other plate, and we're going to make sure we put it on in the right orientation. This can be a little tricky getting this on here just because there's so much it needs to kind of go into place. Oh, and I'm forgetting something. Your buffer. Now this is one of these things that does wear, and it can crack on you. So as you're maintaining your gun, you want to make sure you take a look at this and make sure it's not cracking. Because if this cracks and it falls apart on you, and that bolt flies back, it's going to go right through that zinc, your zinc upper. Not a lot of strength there, so that's one of the things you want to check with your routine maintenance, is make sure that that is holding and it's not cracked. It's a cheap little replacement part, so if you do find that it's cracking a little bit, just get one, throw it in there. It's always a good idea with these to just have one that's in your toolbox, just because it's one of those things that is something that can break on you, because it's getting a lot of use with that bolt coming back. Alright, so now we want to get our C-clamps on. Just push those on with a screwdriver till they click in place. There we go. Next, and lastly, we're going to go ahead and we're going to cock our hammer so that we're taking the tension off of this so we can get our little paper clip out. And now, what you want to do is you're going to go ahead and lay your carrier spring up on here so that you've got this on there like that. And then you want to grab a tool that you can use, and what I have here is a flathead screwdriver, an old flathead screwdriver that I just used a Dremel tool to cut out an insert, the inside of that there, so that it will make it easier for things to grab springs and push them around and do what you need to do with them. So there we go. Alright, and there that is. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab our upper, slide out our buffer tube here, and let's see, the first thing that's going to go in is the bolt. So we're going to need the spring, this little rod that the spring goes over. You're going to slide that over your rod. If it'll let me, there we go. Alright, get that started in that little hole in there, and then you want to get this started in your bolt, and you want to make sure that you can push that back so that the spring isn't getting all kinked up. Now you want to grab your charging handle, and as this comes down, you're going to want to make sure that your charging handle is in there. This can be a little tricky because it kind of wants to lock up on you in there. There we go. Alright, so there you go. There's your bolt in place. Now we're just going to go ahead and grab our screws. There we go. And our weird little screw. That's really a bolt and a screw, or a nut and a screw. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and drop this in place. Put your front on first. Get your screws started. Oh, come on, get in there. There we go. Alright, got that. Get our other screw started over on this side. There we go. Now we're going to push this down just enough so that we can get our little nut that looks like a screw in there. Go ahead and get our screw inside our nut that looks like a screw. Tighten her on down. And these don't have to be real tight. Just tighten it so that they're just flush. This is held in place when the gun is in the receiver. Or yeah, when this is in the stock, working with the trigger group and all that. So you don't need them real tight. Alright, now we want to go ahead and grab our stock. We're going to slide in our trigger group, and we're going to grab our little round nut that goes in from this side. Get that on there as I bang my camera as usual. Then you're going to go ahead and just flip it over. Hold your finger on that, otherwise I'll just spin around on you. And then you're just going to go ahead and tighten it on down. we go. Now, the only thing that needs to be done is we're going to go ahead and put this in place. Grab our screw and get this one started up here. Get this one started in here. Oops. There we go. And there we go. And there is our fully assembled Marlin Glenfield Model 60, which is functional. Yay. Alright. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching.